New intro. You know what that means. It's a very special time of year. That's right. It's Tony Hawktober.
Tony Hawktober!
Yes, welcome to the first of hopefully many holiday seasons we will be celebrating here on the Quick Save Podcast. We're celebrating Hawktober. That's right, we're going to celebrate one of the best sports series to ever hit the market, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and all its sequels, and all its spin-offs, and
all its goodness. It's goodness.
all its goodness. And all the badness also that comes with that.
We don't like talking about that.
There's a lot of badness.
Until we put in a spotlight.
We're not getting it there. We're not going to be talking about the badness, but all month long for all October. That's right. We're not doing any news. Dude, November's going to hit. I don't think we're doing news in November either, because I think we're doing no news November. But anyways, dude, December, we're going to have a torrential flood of news. It'll be never ending. But this month we're going to give you 4 amazing episodes, each one about a different Tony Hawk game. So let's get started with our first solid entry into the mainline series, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. Gameplay, skateboarding. Yeah, I have that written down just in case. For all these, I'm probably going to say the gameplay is skateboarding. That's just a rough guess.
In case you forget or just,
I haven't played them all, but I can only
haven't ever seen Tony Hawk ever?
Yeah, I can only assume the gameplay for all these games is skateboarding. So, let's get into it. So the Tony Hawk franchise started with the Pro Skater series. Pro Skater 1 came out on the PlayStation 1, the N64. Pro Skater 2, same thing, PlayStation 1, N64. And then Pro Skater 3 came out on PS1 and N64, but it was the first one to come out on the PlayStation 2, which is kind of a big jump, and we'll talk about that later. But let's discuss controls. For all of you who have never played a Tony Hawk game, let me tell you, you're missing out, first of all. But we're going to use a PlayStation 2 controller for reference, so get out your handy-dandy controller. Don't worry, I'll give you a second to go grab it. Pause the podcast if you need. Go grab it and come back.
Alright, we're back.
We're back. Alright, so we're going to discuss controls using a PS2 controller because, like Alex found out, there's a bit of a learning curve.
Hey man, I was trying.
Even if you have played the games before, it's been, man, I haven't played those games for years. There's a bit of a learning curve. You can't just mash buttons. Don't work like that. Your character automatically goes forward. You don't got to do nothing. He just goes.
He knows how to skate.
He knows how to skate. You don't got to do anything. That's a lie. You do got to do a lot of stuff. So he goes forward automatically, or she. There are women skaters too in this game.
We don't discriminate.
Your skater moves forward automatically, and you move them using the D-pad or the left stick. Me personally, I use the D-pad just because it's got kind of finer controls for doing the trick you actually want to do.
I found out as I went along the D-pad is the way.
It's kind of... You hit a lot of buttons in this game. You're hitting X and square and circle and spinning, and it's a lot at times. Yes, you're going to move them using the D-pad or the left stick to ollie, which is a jump. So to jump, you need to press the X button. But here's the very important part. You have to hold X down. Holding X down makes your skater crouch, which makes him go faster. It also makes him jump higher. So when you're just skating around, you're going to be holding X a lot. You will primarily be moving around by holding X on the controller.
You're going to wear out that X button.
Yeah, absolutely correct. If you're competing in Tony Hawktober and partaking like we do every year, buy a nice controller. You're going to wear the X button out a lot. I will also mention that tricks have prerequisites. You can't just jump in the air and hit square. That doesn't do anything. You have to hit a direction and a button. So square is for your flip tricks. Circle is for your grabs. So if I hit left and square... Let me double check here. Yeah, if I hit right and square, that's a heel flip. But if I hit left and square, that's a kick flip. Different tricks take longer amounts of time. Some tricks are faster than others. We'll talk about that later. But each direction and button corresponds to a different trick. If I jump at a rail and I land my board on the rail and hit triangle, I start grinding. If I hit up and down while I'm just skating around like on the ground, you'll start to manual, which is kind of like you do like a wheelie on your board. And you have to like balance. But grinds and manuals have balance meters. So grind meters move left to right, so you have to kind of balance it in the middle. And then manual meters move up and down, so you have to the same thing balance it in the middle. Which gets harder the longer you do a grind, harder the longer you do a manual. Or if you do multiple grinds and multiple manuals in one long combo, it does make it harder to balance. So the biggest added feature that they added into Pro Skater 3 in terms of controls is the revert. This really opens up the entire game for combos. So a revert, when you come out of a half pipe or a quarter pipe, so you go straight up, you come back down, you hit R2. That makes your skater kind of spin around so he's facing the right direction.
And the game makes a really cool sound.
It goes, it's like the wheels scraping on the ground, right? So you flip around, and then out of revert, you can manual, you can do a ton of stuff to continue your combo. So the main bread and butter of doing big combos is go up, do a big trick, come down, revert, and then out of revert, you manual. And then with all the speed you got, the manual can kind of move you around the level and you can go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's a big pillow for, comboing.
Yes, if you're like, I want to get good at Tony Hawk, learn how to revert in manual because it will save your life. You will do huge combos.
It also adds to your combo, which is a nice thing.
And they count as multipliers. Yep. And then there's also special tricks that you can perform using special inputs. There is usually a menu you can find in your start menu where you can look at your tricks. I'd recommend looking at your special tricks because you're going to pretty much need those to get high scores. You'll do like a 900, which gets you like 9,000 points or something crazy like that. Whereas like a normal kickflip, will get you like 250 points. That's crazy. I mean, they're hard to do. You need a lot of time in the air to do them, but you are extremely rewarded for doing special tricks. But to do a special trick, you have to fill up your special meter, and you fill up your special meter by doing normal tricks. The meter kind of starts decreasing, so you kind of need to do a bunch of tricks in like decently rapid succession, or if you do like a big combo, that'll fill it up. But yeah, when that's full, you can do the cool tricks, which are worth a ton of points. But yeah, mainly in terms of gameplay, let's talk about how the Pro Skater titles work. Alex, why don't you tell us how a Pro Skater game works?
So you're dropped into a level, and these levels, I would say, are small to a medium size.
In the earlier ones,
yeah.
We're going to talk about 3. 3 is the first one on PS2, so the levels are kind of bigger.
They're in that, like, medium to large.
Yes. Going from one set of levels to the other is probably going to take you, like, 30 to 40 seconds.
Yep, and you only have a limited amount of time in each of these levels. You are given a list of objectives right away. Goes through on this nice little, like, video thing where it kind of like zooms in and shows you where stuff is.
It gives you like a hint where you can start looking for stuff. It plays a cool note. It goes, "Put your Each new goal goes, "Put your gear."
Nice little like almost guitar sound, right?
Put your gear. Yeah. They play like, "Put your gear." Each one. It'll be like, "Jump over the kid. Put your gear." And you'll be like, "Yeah, jump over the kid."
You are given 2 minutes to complete as many of these objectives as possible. They range from like easy ones, like getting the 5 letters to spell skate, which is a very, I would say famous like beginner skate.
Been in them since the beginning. Yeah.
People do it in real life. It's a big thing.
Yeah, they do play games of skate in real life.
Yep. And then there are more difficult ones like finding the 5 pickpocket NPCs around a certain level and just like trying to run into them and stuff.
Yeah, so some are like exploratory based, like the skate level or like the skate letters and stuff like that. And then some are like points based, get a high combo, get a big score, stuff like that too.
But that's not the only thing that we do. Every few levels, there's a competition that takes place. It's a level that is a competition, I should say, where you need to score as high as possible on the minute run you're given. That's right, only a minute, 60 seconds.
Have the time, but you have multiple runs.
There's multiple runs, and you're competing against other NPCs. You don't watch them play or anything. You just see their scores as you score, right? So you are judged out of 100 points here with your points and how many times you've bailed, counting for and against, your score, respectively. Gonna put that out there.
Yeah, so if you get a super high combo, it's gonna look really good for your score. But if you bail 50 times, bailing is like falling off
your skateboard. Yep.
Yeah, so if you do a trick that doesn't finish before you hit the ground, or you mess up your balance meter on a grind or a manual, you will fail your trick, and that takes points away from your score.
So your goal is to complete the objectives, because there's still objectives to do, and to get a gold in each of these competitions. So 100% completion, including doing every objective, gold in every comp, as well as getting all the hidden stat points to upgrade your character's abilities. That's right, we are doing an RPG as well. Is that doing that will unlock a bunch of extras like movies and secret characters.
Yeah, like if you want 100% a Tony Hawk game, you're going to have to beat this game like 27 times, once with each character, including the secret characters.
So I think it's important to note on that is that we picked Tony Hawk, the Tony Hawk, to play Tony Hawk, right?
I'll be honest, unless I'm feeling wacky, I will probably pick Tony Hawk every time. That's just my brain. The man
It's his game,
It's
right?
his game. I'll play as him. It's his game.
We played through that. We got all the stat points right. We did all this, all the comps, all the goals, blah 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 blah.
And it was a pain in the butt, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we spent multiple days on this one, getting this one
it was
through.
It was like 2 or 3, I think. Yeah.
We did all that, and we completed the game with Tony Hawk. And then we have all the other characters
and now,
to do the exact same thing.
It's like,
now.
Great job. Go do that like 20 more times. So like,
this isn't a one and done. This is, hey, good job, champ. You know how the game works.
I'll be honest.
Go do it again.
I'll be honest. I kind of like that. I played the new one religiously when that came out, and it is like once you learn how to do everything quickly and efficiently, it becomes fun to like, I'm going to do this level for the 500th time as fast as I can. So it does kind of, you learn as you go along. But yeah, one of the main features in Pro Skater 3, other than the graphical upgrade of the PS2, is the level size. There's some big levels in the previous 2 levels. Streets in San Francisco and Philadelphia come to mind, pretty big. But every level in Pro Skater 3 is big. I would not say, I mean, like even the smallest levels I would call medium. Like Foundry is still like pretty large.
Yeah,
at least, even
I would say that's the smallest one.
Even vertically, that level is huge. There's a ton on each level. Levels, and it's not just Foundry. A ton of levels have more verticality. Like I just mentioned, the catwalks on Foundry. You get the whole bottom level, then there's catwalks above. There's treetops and a half pipe in Canada and like a rail up top. Even more than half of Tokyo is grinds. Like there's like 3 layers to Tokyo involving grinds and hidden half pipes. There's an entire section of the level that's completely hidden unless you climb to the very top with grinds. It's crazy. But yeah, the work that is done in 3 is very apparent, very immediately noticeably larger levels.
This is a upgrade to the entire series at this point.
Yeah, you could tell they were not just trying to make another, 8 level whatever who cares game. This is definitely probably one of the this has palpable upgrades. You can feel that they were trying to make a bigger game here. But let's go through the list and break down some levels with a couple sentences here.
Our starting level, Foundry.
Yes, it's like a metal foundry. It's got a large system of catwalks up top and a huge half pipe in the middle of the level. Next is Canada,
which is a huge open level area. This is our first time seeing that larger side. There's a parking lot, a snowy skate park, and more vertical treetop and half pipe section.
I love Canada. It's one of my favorites, especially out of
I
this
did
game.
enjoy playing on it as well.
Mm-hmm. Next is Rio, which is our first competition level. It's got a mainly circular design. It's got some quarter pipes and a hidden bowl off to the side. But if you grind around the edge, you can grind pretty much around the entire edge of the level, which is kind of cool. I like doing a big circular grind around the whole level. But
up next is Suburbia, which is a smaller level featuring mainly quarter and half pipes as well as some short rails and sections to trick off of. But there's this haunted Halloween under theme.
Spooky house, man. It's like Help the Thin Man and it's a spooky house. Suburbia, honestly, really underrated level in my opinion. I really like that level.
Lots of good little themes in it.
Yep. Okay, next is Airport, which Airport makes its appearance a few times in the Tony Hawk series. I know it's in Underground 2's classic mode as well. So Airport is more in the style of the downhill levels from previous games like Downhill Jam. There's also a level called Downhill, I think in 2. Maybe I'm making that up. But essentially, I'm thinking a mall is like this too. So you essentially start at the top of the level and you make your way to the bottom. There's lots of grinding throughout with some quarter pipes at the end of the level, but essentially you're going to go down to the bottom, and then there's some places at the bottom where they'll teleport you back to the top, which is kind of fun.
Next is Skater Island, the second and very versatile competition level. There's bowls, half pipes, rails. There's a pirate ship, and plenty of space to do huge combos as well.
I do really like this competition level. It's also based on a real skate park that was in Maine. I think it closed mid-2000s.
Yeah, I believe the building collapsed or something.
Because of the pirate ship, obviously.
Yeah, probably.
Probably because of the pirate ship, I would guess. So next is Los Angeles, large open level with a ton of verticality. Grinding, quarter pipe transfers, and platforming are all required for this tough level. This, it's very funny, is also in Underground 2's classic. Some of these levels will make appearances in later games as secret levels, hidden levels, stuff like that. But
it's kind of a nod backward to from our roots type of thing.
And it's nice. They have different goals too. So it's they took the same level, but they changed what you need to do in it, which I think is a nice touch. But yeah, why don't you go for the next one? Infamous level. My
Tokyo!
My nemesis.
Tokyo's the final competition level with a good mix of ramps and pipes, and so many grinds. Endless grinds, if you will. Probably some of the harder maneuvering required to get all the stat points and secrets. I believe we spent, I think, a majority of our time playing this game on Tokyo.
Now, I'll be honest, yeah, we played this for 3 days, at least a day and a half. It was entirely devoted to Tokyo and getting all the stat points so we could unlock a secret character.
The famous quote from Josh of this entire game came in that one.
I bailed as Tony Hawk for the 5 millionth time, and I said, Tony, I hope you swallow your effing teeth. Except I didn't say effing, I said the real word.
It was glorious, because it was just as... There's a part where you have to like grind up to a certain point and then get a perfect jump.
Yeah, so you can't just grind on the things. Why would that make sense? You have to grind and then jump and then grind and then jump, because it's a sign and then a wire. So if you keep grinding on the sign, well, the sign just takes you around the corner, but you don't need to go around the corner. You need to go straight onto the wire. It's like a whole thing. We'll get to it. But yeah, Tokyo stuff. It's fun to play casually without all the stupid grinding and the hidden areas and stuff. But man, those grinds around.
It looks
the top,
amazing too.
Yeah, and it looks really
probably
good.
my favorite designed level.
The final level that we played is the cruise ship, which you unlock after the final competition. It's another very vertical level featuring lots of ramps, pipes, and grinds. And then you'll need to do some like flatland tricks too, which is just manuals and variations on manual, because there's some goals that kind of require doing combos in front of people, and there's not a ton of stuff around them. But yeah. Now we're going to talk about these. We didn't play most of these, but I included them because I think they're fun. Oil Rig, which is an Xbox exclusive level, which that makes a return in American Wasteland. You play on the Oil Rig. So Downhill, which is an N64 and PlayStation 1 exclusive. That's because the game was running on the old Apocalypse engine, so it couldn't handle some of the levels. There is a Game Boy Advance level called The Zone. We'll talk about this later because we're probably going to play them eventually. The Game Boy Advance games, at least for the early pro skaters, are like isometric top-down skaters. They deserve an episode just because they're completely different games than what we're playing. They're really interesting.
Eventually we'll hit them all.
And then there's Paris, which is a Lost level only on the Game Boy Color version, but it was remade by fans later on, which is really interesting. So there's like parts of the level that still exist that they like rebuilt. And then there's also some returning bonus levels, Warehouse, Burnside, and Roswell, which are all from Pro Skater 1. So I mean, even in this early game, we're seeing the return of some of the old levels, which is fun.
I love seeing that in games when they look backwards and they're like, hey, remember that one thing?
Referencing that level, and especially like... It was fun playing the Underground 2 ones because like seeing how they updated the level and how it like visually looks upgraded than what we know it as. Normally we talk about plot here, but since there isn't really a framing narrative for another couple games, why don't Alex, you talk about the music here? Because I mean, one of the most famous aspects of the franchise is the music. There's tons of people who this was their introduction to punk and rap and stuff like that through these games.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us?
You can't have a Tony Hawk game without talking about the music. The music is honestly, I think, what really drove these games as a nationwide sensation, especially here in America. I can't speak for elsewhere.
Yeah, these games are like half skateboarding game, half like mixtape that you would listen to with your friends.
It's crazy. I remember playing, what was it? I think I played Pro Skater 4 and I played Underground 2, and I remember there were times when I was a young lad playing these games that I go, man, I want to listen to some cool music. I would load up the game and just play the music in the little soundtrack setting that I had. Yeah. So let's talk about these 20 songs that they gave us. We're going to start off with AFI, The Boy Who Destroyed the World. Classic emo punk song. Yeah.
Love AFI.
We got Adolescence, Amoeba.
I think this is one of Tony Hawk's favorites. He sang this at a concert. There's a Tony Hawk fan band there's like the cover band that plays all the songs from the games, and they came to they did an event. Tony Hawk hired them for an event, and they played Amoeba, and he sang Amoeba, which is amazing. So
Alien Ant Farm, Wish, man, I got to see
Alien
these guys live. Oh,
was it awesome?
It was so great.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Next is Body Jar, Not the Same. Awesome song. You should definitely check that one out. A personal favorite of mine, CKY 96 Quite Bitter Beans.
Amazing song.
I remember every time I played, when we were playing, I was singing it along. I didn't care if I annoyed you or not. Oh, God, so good.
So good.
Del, the Funky Homo Sapien, If You Must. amazing artist. We got Guttermouth, I'm Destroying the World. Good old Punk. House of Pain, I'm Gonna Swing It, which, who knew white boys could rap, right? Going on, KRS-One, Hush. This was one of my favorite songs from the soundtrack that wasn't like a rock song. Mm-hmm. We got the Mad Capsule Markets, Pulse. Awesome song. And Motorhead, Ace of Spades. Man, what a banger.
That's the title theme for this one. That's the theme you'll hear all the
Also,
time.
I'm going to brag a little bit here. I got to see Lemmy play this live.
That's awesome.
Going onward, we got the Next Men, Amongst the Madness. We got Ozomatli, Cut Chemist Sweet. The Ramones, Blitzkrieg Bop, everyone's classic favorite. Classic. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Fight Like a Brave. Redman, Let's Get Dirty. I Can't Get in the Club. Dude, Redman wants in the club, man.
Somebody let him in the club, please.
Reverend Horn Heat, I Can't Surf. Someone teach him how to surf.
I relate to that. I also cannot surf.
I've never tried surfing. I would love to. Rollins Band, What's the Matter, man? They want to know how you feeling.
What's the matter, man? What's the matter with you? I really like that one.
Exhibit Paparazzi. That's right. Our boy X got in.
Exhibit says, I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me. Pop up.
Let me pimp your ride. He just grabs your skateboard.
That would be good if you could play as Exhibit.
And then we got Zebrahead. Check. Zebrahead. Awesome punk band.
You'll notice those are in alphabetical order. That's how they're listed in the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's great. Josh, let's talk about some pricing.
I would love to. Well, there's a lot. This came out on a lot of things. We'll see that a lot. Some of these we're probably going to reference again later when we play the other versions. We're not going to do that with everything, but probably some of the handheld ones we'll revisit. Game Boy Color, loose, $6.86. Complete is $22.37.
Which is pretty good for a Game Boy.
Honestly, not bad for a Game Boy game. Game Boy Advance loose is $9.30. Complete is $18.01. Same thing.
Still,
that's not bad really for a complete version.
GameCube?
Yes. GameCube is $9.09. Loose. Complete is $13.83.
Wow. For a
not
GameCube
bad.
game.
We're going to keep saying this. Not bad for a GameCube game. PlayStation 1. Loose Black Label, $7.18. Complete is $11.43. So Black Label is just going to be the original printing.
Yep.
And then Green Label, which is the greatest hits label. Loose is $6.95. Complete is $13.53. We'll see that with some of these. I don't know why the Complete is more expensive on the greatest hits.
So I have a theory about that, is the fact that these games were selling so well that there was more black labels than there were green labels. Whereas most games, it's kind of the opposite almost.
Right, yeah. So many people it was an established franchise. So many people just bought it, when it came out. So PlayStation 2, loose, Black Label, $5.85. Complete, $6.74. Kind of in my opinion, probably the most widely played version of this game is on the PlayStation 2.
I would say it's the most accessible and probably the best version.
And we'll probably see that as we see a lot of these PS2 ones. A lot of people primarily played them on the PlayStation 2. So then Red Label, greatest hits label on PlayStation 2, loose is $6.95, and then complete's $9.68. So potentially same thing there. Everybody bought it Black Label when it came out.
Yep.
Less likely to see the Red Labels floating around. Xbox, loose, $9.32. Complete is $11.99. That's for the original printing. And then the Platinum Hits version, loose is $10.97. Complete is $11.99. So same on the complete there. I mean, it's crazy. I don't think the only thing, and maybe I just missed it, the only thing that doesn't have a greatest hits release is the GameCube. But like Xbox, PS1, and PS2 all had greatest hits versions.
Hold up, Josh. I remember us talking here, literally, 10, 15 minutes ago, talking about an N64 version. Where's that?
Great news. 1 and 2 on 64, not very expensive. Maybe 10, 15, $20 at the most.
The complete versions are up there.
I mean, of course, it's an N64 game, so complete's going to be expensive. But loose, they're not too bad, 1 and 2. 3 is the rare one on 64. It has a black cartridge. So they all had different colors, I think. Maybe not.
1, I believe, was gray. 2 was blue.
2 was blue. I thought maybe 1 was also blue.
Maybe that was it.
I feel like they had colored cartridges for all three of these. But so N64 had a black cartridge. So loose is $54.50. Complete's $99.62.
Yikes!
Yeah, that's Nintendo, baby. Isn't it crazy? This is maybe one of the first games that has a GameCube release where the GameCube release was not the most expensive version of the game.
It's usually our gimmick is that, it's on the GameCube. I wonder how much that is. An arm and a leg and your
Right.
left ear.
Well, let's talk about what we thought about the game playing it. Go ahead.
This was a blast to play, but I had to immediately humble myself. As I am not the Tony Hawk skater I was as a kid. My painfully obvious lack of picking up a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game in years had led me to lose all the skills I thought I still had. But guess what? With practice and some patience, I started to get back on my groove a little bit. I went from barely able to doing a trick to ending up doing like 100,000 K combos.
Yeah, and I guess we're going to pause this for a moment. I feel like maybe we should talk about our history with Tony Hawk games. I played a ton of them growing up. I owned Underground 1 and 2. American Wasteland was my favorite. Project 8, a lot of the later ones I liked and played a bunch too.
Yep, I started playing on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, 3, 4, and then Underground and Underground 2 were the ones that I lost my soul in. I think I played those even after like American Wasteland came out and stuff because I just loved Underground.
Yeah, Underground 2, when I was a kid, probably the one I put the most time into was either American Wasteland or Underground 2. And then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 plus 2 came out on PS4 and PS5, and I own it physically and digitally for the deluxe version, and XYZ. I put a billion hours into that, and that's the one I probably spent the most time on, and I still don't have the platinum I wish. That platinum is tough.
Yeah, I remember when we loaded it up and I was just sucking and going, man, I apparently needed some practice again. You're like, please don't hate me.
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
picked it up
exactly.
and like owned it all.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, hey, can I have that for a sec? Anyways, I'm going to complete the entire level in 1 2-minute run. Thanks, sorry. Yeah, no, just I have a ton of practice in the past couple of years playing Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remake. Not to toot my own horn, I'm no Andy THPS on YouTube or anything like that, hitting freaking 100 million point combos. But I feel decently competent at the games. Probably until we get to the later ones that control super weird, or the originals that control really poorly. But anyways, back to what we think. This is a game I played a ton growing up. 3 was something I never owned, but I did play at like buddies and stuff like that. Tons of fond memories of Foundry in Canada, which are some of my favorite levels in the entire Pro Skater series come from this game. But the introduction of reverts really opens this game up in terms of combos. That's like still obviously a like infinitely used technique in modern stuff. But yeah, you can combo from one end of a level to the other with clever grinds, manuals, reverts, jumping off of things. I don't know if there's acid drops in this game. There might not be.
I feel like that was probably Pro Skater 4. I think
Yeah, but you could do like spine transfers and stuff like that. That'll help you build speed so you can keep doing your combos and stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely.
So I have to say, if it wasn't for you, Josh, Tony Hawktober wouldn't be nearly as possible and accessible as it is. It was incredible to replay through Pro Skater 3 again and to actually get to see almost everything the game had to offer. I stand by my opinion that even as a single player game, playing these games with friends is the way to go. It's so much better. These are amazing games. They deserve to be completed, and being able to share that with a friend is an even sweeter victory when you do it. Us passing back and forth saying, hey, oh, go up there. Hey, I saw something over there. We only had one controller. We were playing only one character, but this was a co-op effort.
It really was kind of a co-op experience.
It didn't feel
fun.
like, oh, Josh is playing now, I have to wait. It was, no, we're together in this. This is like us doing one task.
Yep. I like to think that I try and inspire people at work to play Tony Hawk. It's one of our when I have to test PlayStation 1s and stuff, that's our test game is the original Tony Hawk. So I'll just immediately jump out and start doing some big combos, and people are like, "Whoa, you're pretty good at this." I'm like, "Thank you. I'm doing my best." People come be like, "Whoa, Tony Hawk." I'll be like, "Yeah, Tony Hawk." I'm trying to convince them I wish we had one game across all systems that we played, and I'm like, we could put Tony Hawk's on like pretty much most systems. Like I'm like, we should just get Tony Hawk. And I'm like, I'm not just saying that because I am biased towards playing Tony Hawk, but like, if we had one game that you tested on every console, it would just make sense because you would know what to do. Anyways, the later levels, like we had mentioned, gave us a really tough time. We spent a ton of time on Tokyo, mainly trying to collect everything. There's a stat point at the very top of the level that you have to grind around a corner and jump from one rail to another to get, and you have to have enough speed. It's a whole thing.
I remember we were looking up guides and everything.
I watched multiple YouTube videos about how to get to that spot. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're trying to get the hidden board too, which is over in that part of the level too. Each level has a hidden deck you can unlock that makes the board look
and
different.
And a secret video.
Yep. So most of the maneuvering involves grinding on those high wires we mentioned and jumping from rail to rail on precarious spots. And it's in a competition level, so you have 1 minute instead of 2. So if I spend 30 seconds trying to get up this rail and then I fall down, well, I don't have time to do it again, so I have to start the whole thing over. I love this game, but man, that level gave us a lot of issues. Like you had mentioned, I was there was like, I think the second day we played, I just like rage quit. I was just like, I died again. I was like, let's go home. I'm done with this. But yeah, I think it's one of those things, like I had mentioned, the whole premise of the game is beat it with all 25 characters, right? So I think, if I just played this game and beat it with, 10 characters, eventually I would be like, okay, I know what I need to do and how to get there, but definitely something that takes time to learn.
Yep.
It's not just you, Alex, who has to learn a couple tricks, me too,
So the Pro Skater games honestly present a more real challenge than any of the other titles that Tony Hawk has provided to us. It's more of an event-based game than one of a story. The time limits and mission objectives can certainly make levels feel truly overbearing at times, like we were talking about Tokyo. But there was never a point where we didn't want to go back and try again. We always picked the controller back up on a different day, a little bit later after we did something else. We never strayed away from it. There was no moment where we go, I'm never touching this again.
2 minutes is really kind of the perfect time limit for games like this, because it's like you mess something up or you don't do it correct and you're like, okay, it's 2 minutes. I can go back and do that correctly and do it how they want me to do it. But yeah. There is a Creator Skater function. We didn't really mess around with it a ton, but I love that it exists. We'll see this in future games. Pretty much, I think most of the future games have Creative Skater options.
We'll mess with it at some point.
Pro Skater 4 is going to have some good custom skater stuff, so maybe we'll look at that there. I just love the fact that it exists. Because I'm almost certain you couldn't do that in Pro Skater 2. Maybe you could. Because I know Pro Skater 2 had a shop where you could buy stuff. But no, the first PS2 Tony Hawk really adds like we mentioned, a meaningful amount of upgrades. This is way different than 1 and 2. So let's get into some fun facts. Why don't you start, Alex, with some of these?
Let's play our favorite Is It There, Is It Not game with developers.
I got great news. It's going to be pretty much the same developer for all of them. I mean, there's some it'll be different, but
this is our one shot. Developer Neversoft is our pick of the game.
Put in your votes now. Text the American Idol number. Put in your votes now.
They are defunct.
No.
They're defunct as of 2014. Really sad to see Neversoft go. That was a logo that basically told me this was a good game. But they were published.
Who published it?
Oh, they were published by Activision. Oh,
boo.
no.
That's we got bad news, man. Bad news.
So Activision is still around, better or worse.
Just go to Google and type in Activision News. That'll get you what you need to know. We got our first appearance of Bam Margera in this one.
Love Bam. If you don't know who Bam Margera is,
go type in Bam Margera News. That'll tell you what you need to know.
He is behind him, CKY.
Was he behind CKY? I know his cousin was in CKY.
Yeah, he's the one that really pushed them. Okay. That's why they're so popular as they are. Because CKY did a lot of his television shows, music and stuff. Right. By the way, he has a television show.
Well, so he was on Jackass.
Jackass, yep.
Beyond that, yes, he had Viva La Bam, which was on television show.
He's
music career,
a fun person to watch. I don't want to say he's a great guy, but
no comment about
on that aspect.
No comment on the current state of his life, but yes,
he is a fun person to watch, especially in those early years, right?
Yeah. Well, don't worry, we'll get plenty of Bam once we get to Underground 2, and he takes a main feature in the story. This is the only game that doesn't have Bob Burnquist in it. Because this year he was in a ESPN skateboarding game, so he could not be in this game because he was in a different game. Jeez,
wild.
Bob, what are you thinking, man?
Come on, skate on over.
Yeah, skate on over, Bob.
There's also online multiplayer functionalities.
We see this a lot with PS2 stuff. I just was like a child at the time. Were people using these PS2 online functionalities?
Everyone's just on dial-up,
having a LAN party to play freaking Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
But besides that, because unfortunately, we can't tell you more about it. We didn't really look into it. It's kind of essentially defunct. There are certain, you can hook it up to your computer and do camo tunnel things. There's like all sorts of weird stuff that you can still do and see if anyone is playing online, which if there is, good for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for keeping the community
Thank you
alive.
for your service.
What a thankless job, honestly. Let's talk about there's unlockable characters.
There's amazing unlockable characters.
This has been a thing. I want to say since the first one, for sure. Since the second one, I think the second one you could play as Spider-Man from the PS1 Spider-Man game, which was also made by Neversoft.
Yep.
Which is funny. Unlockable characters. So beat the game once, 100%. Mostly, I think all of these are like beat the game 100%.
Yep.
A certain number of times. Beat the game 100% once, you get Darth Maul.
Which is crazy.
Licensed through Lucasfilms. And then also, they get their own like special moves. So he does like the side flip. And he does like a force choke on his board and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he has his lightsaber out and everything.
It's pretty rad. Beat it, I think it's twice, Wolverine.
Which also amazing.
I think he stabs the board. I think that's his thing. Then we're going to run into some NPC characters, which we will see probably as unlockable characters most of the time in some aspect. Officer Dick, who is just a cop. He's a joke name cop.
Yep. Private Carrera.
I don't know if we'll see her in other stuff, but we will see Ollie the Magic Bum.
Yeah.
So his name is Ollie because there's a goal in Pro Skater 2, and the goal is called Ollie the Magic Bum. So you jump over him and he teleports to another place on the level. So it's a sentence, Ollie the Magic Bum, but they made his name Ollie. So it's a goal and it's his name, Ollie the Magic Bum.
And then we got Kelly Slater.
The surfboarder from Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer, which was also put out under the same label as Pro Skater 3.
I think there's like a dual disc.
I think there is a dual
game.
disc. There is a dual disc that comes with both or something like that. Yep.
Some weird promotional thing, right?
Yep.
Then we got Demoness.
It's a hot demon lady.
Woo! My personal favorite here is the Neversoft Eye.
Yep, you can skate as the eye. Later on, you can skate as like the hand, which is like a big old hand.
And we got an Xbox exclusive, which is X-Ray. He's a skeleton.
Yes, he's just a skeleton, which that's also in one of the 1+2 remake. They like doing skeleton characters.
And then why don't you talk about the coolest character, honestly, that we couldn't touch?
I should look up footage of this. Doom Guy was the PC exclusive, which is pretty wild. You could just skate around as Doom Guy. I think that's pretty funny. The Japanese version has 3 extra Japanese skaters, which is like pretty crazy. I think that's super fun. I like that. I wish they were included in the American version. That would have been cool.
Maybe we just got to import them.
This is the first Tony Hawk game that has blood when you bail. When you bail out of a trick and hit the ground, there's blood on the ground, stuff like that. Ooh, probably earning that T rating, baby.
Yeah, and then from this point on, it just grows.
Do you want to talk about reviews, please? This game,
spicy.
I don't know if you read these. This game was well liked.
Let me tell you how well liked it was, Josh. IGN, which
famously
IGN, right?
Right.
9.7 out of 10.
Boom, they liked it.
Crazy. GameSpot.
Let's save that one. Skip that one. That one's the most.
You know what? I want to talk about GameSpot. I want to talk about Metacritic. Metacritic, hard platform to get a good rating, right?
Yeah, I mean it's out of 100, right?
Yep. 97.
97. So another 9.7
out of 10. Another 9.7 out of 10.
And that was the top-rated PS2 game, tying with GTA 3,
which is crazy
on Metacritic. Yep.
Guess what award it won at E3 2001?
Class Clown, most likely to be a millionaire.
Best sports game.
Valid.
That's right. Madden, NHL.
Not even close. Neither of those are as fun as me skateboarding around as Darth Maul. I can't play football as Darth Maul.
All right, I can't leave it alone. I want to talk about GameSpot now.
Now you can talk about GameSpot.
It got a 10 out of 10.
Okay. Why is that important?
Because it's the 4th of only 16 games ever to get a 10 out of 10 perfect score from GameSpot.
There's 16 games that have got a perfect 10 out of 10 from GameSpot, and this is the 4th one ever to receive a perfect 10 out of 10.
It's so good.
This game blew doors, man. Holy crap. People were like, Pro Skater 3, tried and true formula, right? No, they brought the heat with these big levels, character creator, banging soundtrack, and the people, like, they were into it, man.
Like I said, there was never a point that we said we would never come back to this. It just kept pulling us in.
Well, tell me about your favorite part of the game and your least favorite part of the game.
Look, the best part of this game was indeed the level design. I mean, come on. The challenges that were made there, all of it was so much fun. It was so creative. You know, there was a constant smile on my face while playing, and I loved every minute that we were there doing it. The negative isn't so much negative as it's just something that's annoying for me, and probably for some others, that the time limit can really be a giant middle finger at time. Tokyo is the, most wanted criminal there in that aspect.
Yeah, 1 minute for the hardest comp on a tough level.
So some challenges can take the entire time just to complete, either because the level is so big and you have to travel from one side to the other, absorbs most of your time, or the location was just a challenge overall to get to. End of the day though, I will never regret playing this. It was amazing to play through, amazing game. 10 out of 10 for me.
Wow. Is that your first 10 out of 10?
I think it's the first time I said that on the podcast.
Out of 16 games to receive Alex's 10 out of 10. Yeah, my favorite part of this game is the level design. The levels are bigger, but they all kind of flow. I think Canada is my favorite level just because it is so easy to transition from each part of the level. They all kind of connect and loop back on each other, which is amazing. Canada is also in Underground 2, and I had to do a goal there, and it was very frustrating. Probably the hardest goal in the entire Classic mode to do. So that makes me like it a little less, but that's okay. That's Underground 2 and not Pro Skater 3. All these huge levels provide you tons of space for huge combos. Same with that revert helping you out. You can maneuver and do a combo. You can go from one side of the level to another doing a grind and a 900 and a front side 540, and you're grinding and flipping and tricking, and then you land a 500,000 point combo, and it feels good. It feels glorious. There's a reason why Pro Skater 3 came out and Pro Skater 4, Underground 1, 2, and American Wasteland control exactly the same as this. They nailed it with the controls on this one. My least favorite part, and I cannot harp on this enough, is stupid Tokyo. Stupid Tokyo.
We're not letting this go.
You had to grind. Like I said, there's multiple levels of wires and grinding required.
Let's take just a moment here to really envision this for people, right? You start on one end of the level, and that's where you have to get to the top right?
Imagine a big square.
Yep.
You start at the bottom of it's a rectangle, long rectangle. Think a hot dog style level, and you start at the bottom of the hot dog square.
You have to go all the way to the other side.
I need to go all the way to the other side, and in the right corner I need to grind a rail. And it's not just the middle rail, because of course there's you're in a bowl, so there's the lip of the bowl, and then there's a middle rail, and then there's a top rail. Well, you need to grind the top rail. Then I need to hold this grind all the way down the right side of the square, around the bottom part of the square where we started, which eventually I did learn a way that you can get up on that side easier on the bottom, which eliminates half of the grind. So I'm grinding all the way on the right side, down, around the bottom of the square, to around on the left side of the square now, and then on the middle of the left side of the square, I have to jump off this rail onto a circular little ring. And you can grind this little ring. But here's the thing, if you're going so slow, bad news, you're not going to have enough speed to get to the top. The ring is at a diagonal. So if I grind this and I'm not going fast enough, I won't have enough speed to get to the top of the ring. That's where the stat point is. So I have to grind this rail all the way around in this J shape again. And then halfway there, I need to jump off onto this sign, which is a very narrow kind of platform where it's like a half pipe, very narrow. So you need to go off the half pipe and then get enough speed so you can jump and grind the ring and spin around. It's awful. That's what we spent half a day or more doing. Miserable, because once you fall down, you just need to restart because you spent, 35 plus seconds trying to do this thing.
There was times during that moment where I would take the controller and attempt to do it, and
it's awful.
It's tough. It doesn't matter who's trying.
You're just, because like I said, when you grind, the longer you grind, the harder it gets to balance. And I'm trying, I have to balance a grind for 30 plus seconds. It's awful. It is really tough. And that was my least favorite part. We just spent so much time on that level trying to get everything. And like I mentioned, I'm sure if I practiced it and played it a ton, like I said, I found that video that kind of eliminated half the grind, and that helped out a ton. That's how we eventually got it. But I'm sure if I practiced that level a ton, I could do it, I'm sure, super easy. But yeah, just having to play through that the first time. I remember when I was a kid having issues with that level, man. It was tough, right? And so same thing now. It is built tough, that level. But let me talk about why Pro Skater 3 deserves backlog status. I mean, hell, you don't need to hear it from us. You can hear it from the 4 people that gave it 9.7s and 10 out of 10s. The first PlayStation 2 era Tony Hawk sets a firm foundation for us to base a lot of the best Tony Hawk games on, like we're talking about Underground 1 and 2 and American Wasteland. Big levels, custom characters, reverts, and the removal of the big drop function, which was present in Pro Skater 2, make this one more fluid and fun to play than the first two. And we would recommend this to anybody interested in getting started on their Tony Hawk journey.
It is a wonderful place to start.
Now, why don't you tell me about the credits? We watched those and had a great time with those.
All right. Honestly, the credits were my favorite part of this. And they were my favorite part for the simple fact of we watched the developers interact with each other. We watched them work on the game. We saw them do like games and stuff. We saw them goof around.
Some of them were like skateboarding or trying to skateboard.
Some of them were, on a skateboard, really learning kind of how it goes. I think there was they had some, I don't want to say pro skaters there, but they had some probably AM skaters there. AM is short for amateur. In the competitions, they were teaching them how to skate, and they were learning how to ollie and stuff. I mean, these are people that they made this game, but they cared about it.
Yeah, these people were like a family. I mean, they made the team, as far as I understand, at least for these early ones, kind of remained unchanged. It's kind of just a big family working on all these pro skater games, right? So.
And then, as we're watching it, they're doing dumb stuff here and there, but the entire time they were smiling. This was fun. This wasn't work.
These guys, dude, they had a great time. They had a great time making this game, and it shows. They had a great time making the game. So the time they had making it was so great that we're all having great times playing it.
Yeah, It was wonderful to see that happen. I think it's honestly a side of development and gaming that we don't normally get to see, and it was awesome to watch through it.
All right, so we're going to move on to the final part of a Hawktober episode. We're going to rank the Tony Hawk games. That's right, over the course of probably multiple years, we will be ranking all the Tony Hawk games that we play. Well, I got great news. Board's completely empty. Pro Skater 3.
Number one spot,
much like GameSpot gave it that 10 out of 10. We're ranking Pro Skater 3 currently as number 1. We'll see next week if that'll be dethroned. Do you want to tell them what we're playing next week, or should we leave it a surprise?
I think we're going to keep it underground.
Oh, bring a shovel. We're going underground. That's going to be it for Hawktober, Episode 1. Year 1, Episode 1. That's right, we did it, folks. First one's in the books. Boom. Shut the cover on Pro Skater 3. We'll never play it ever again.
Don't worry, we're going to be back.
To play Game Boy Color versions, Game Boy Advance versions of this game. But yeah, that's it for the episode today. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. Please share this with your friends. Tell them about Hawktober. Get them in on the festivities. Wear some Jinko shorts and
play some punk music.
Wear some Quicksilver T-shirts and Volcom shoes and
break out the pyramid belt.
Absolutely. And tell your friends. Celebrate Tony. Take this season is a season of giving.
And you're going to give them Tony Hawk Pro Skater games.
You're going to give them Pro Skater gameplay. Yes, absolutely. But thank you so much. We will see you next week for Hawktober Episode 2. My name's Josh.
My name's Alex. Links below.
Bye!
Bye!
Amoeba, amoeba, amoeba.